Hi everyone, how is everybody doing? Welcome to VCTV again, another episode of VCTV. Another day, another topic, another set of speakers. And I love VCTV as much as you love, guys. I mean, I know that you're committed to VCTV. That's why we are here every day, Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. Singapore. Yes, that's correct. So VCTV is the venture capital TV from LATOKEN, as we all know. And the whole purpose of VCTV is to connect investors and founders together on one platform. And the reason is investors are the one who have the money and founders are the one who are looking for money. So this is a marriage between the investors and the founders, and it's the right kind of marriage. I had to address that. So great. So today's topic is about blockchain for big data, storage, and analytics. So we have three different sort of keywords, but obviously we're going to cover the main core message around investments into these sectors, into these areas. Okay, so basically, before I start introducing my speakers, I'd like to introduce myself for the audience who've not seen me before. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of LATOKEN. I'm based here in Singapore, and I host this shows, VCTV, every day, Monday to Friday. And yeah, so that's about me. I would like to now move to our speakers. So the format is, please introduce yourself, a short and cute introduction, and we then go and take some questions. I'd like to start with Khalid, who joins us back from Bangladesh. Hi, Khalid.
Hello.
Welcome back. Hi, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine, and nice to see you again, and also everybody else. I'm Khalid Sohel from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and I work for Bangladesh Venture Capital Limited, and also I work for the Daffodil International University, also in an education sector, who is also working in education sector. So this morning we were also talking about edutechnology, edutech, and other things, and my company actually invests in not only in our local area, but we are now trying to find niche in worldwide. So fintech and blockchain and new technology is also very much actually welcome in our focal area. So hopefully see you and meet others also. And we are trying to get knowledge from worldwide to find a particular and more profitable investment area, and also we are interested in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khalid. What about the background? Does it signify anything in Bangladesh? Just
Uh, in Bangladesh, actually now, I think that in the corona pandemic situation, we are now facing, we're now actually converting actually huge. For example, we have lots of students actually. Our in rural area, we have more than each year. More than million students are now coming out from university, from school to universities actually. So and they're all are now connected in technologically with the they are now actually trying to send their money in mobile using mobile finance, and also technological other benefits, and other banking and mobile banking and other sources. And also, and we are now investing, we're trying to invest in um, IoT, especially controlling the local businesses countrywide. And also we are interested in investments for blockchain and also internationally, for example, crypto and others. We are also
wow,
welcome. And yeah, we're trying,
that's
and
good to
now
know.
yeah, we are not actually now surrounded in whenever we are now doing it possibly inside the country. So since
Yeah.
that technology is developing worldwide, we are now connected to each other. So why not the business also take it out and worldwide? So that's our now motto
Absolutely.
now.
A lot of things
Yeah.
happening in Bangladesh, as far as I can see, and that's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you
Mm.
so much, Khaled. Next, I'd like to move to Saint. Kids or Navis, not Saint Kitts, Navis. Telly, welcome back. I love the background again, as I always say, because
Yeah.
both of you, like Khalid and you, got that, very much therapeutic background where I just want to jump into the screen and go there and, get into my bikinis for Khalid. That was for Khalid. That was Telly. Obviously, we have a different wear for you if I go into that place. So, anyways, I love the background. So
So
that's the
one
whole.
of these days I'll do the show with the live background. I'll do it live.
Oh, that would be
It's just
fantastic.
that the ambient noise isn't really conducive, but don't worry, I'll probably get a voice counseling mic for it. So hi, thank you. It
Yeah,
is St. Kitts and Nevis because that's the official name of the country. It's a twin island state, and I am, yes, happen to be on the island of Nevis right now, which is the home of international finance and for asset protection. So my name is Telly Onu, and I am a co-founder for Beyond Capital Markets, which is a digital asset management firm and a digital financial market infrastructure company. We are been designing and building out this new framework that facilitates embedded finance and also helps scale up digital climate finance or climate finance digitally. And especially now, there's like a big, all of a sudden, I think, ever since after the election, everyone has come to the realization that you do need infrastructure, you do need data to
yeah,
help solve climate issues, especially after the pandemic as well. I'm also a co-founder of ProHouse Labs, which is a fintech incubator. Um, we have a number of portfolio companies within ProHouse Labs that we've invested in, and some of them are that have spun out are in the space of education. One in particular called OutSchool is actually the first tech school for digital finance, and again, part of facilitating the transformation of this space in terms of adopting digital financial market infrastructure is the knowledge infrastructure. So that's one of the things we've done. And we also, as part of our layer, is also established some funds. So currently, we are raising for a fund to support income share agreements for alt school, and we have some other funds in the pipeline. Um,
fantastic. Thank you so much, Telly, for that intro. Good to know about so many things happening, Telly, the space. Good to know about all those things. Anyways, okay. Last but not least, finally, Gary, I see you. I missed you yesterday. How are you? How are you doing today? Welcome
Well,
to
I'm better than
VCTV.
I was the day before. That's that's for sure. I just got something that wasn't so good. I ate something bad, so that was basically
Right.
it. But anyhow, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
And my name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done 16 companies. I actually have 18, I guess, in my portfolio right now. Um, and yeah, I love AI. I love big data. I've done an IPO on NASDAQ. We've had two unicorns. The first unicorn is Click Software. I was on the original team. Click Software is an Israeli company that was sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion about 16 months ago now. And and Eva.ai, which is one of the top 10 AI HR tech companies, is mine. I've also started three funds. And I'm the CEO and president of GSD Venture Studios, Get Shit Done Venture Studios, and we curate companies, the best AI companies from around the world. Have a few in Singapore today, Indonesia, Germany, etc., to go global. The idea is to use Silicon Valley. And by the way, Khalid, I'm going to be in Bangladesh. I'm hosting a TV show in Bangladesh on December 3rd.
Most
Uh,
welcome.
yeah. So anyhow, that's GSD curates those companies. The idea is to curate unicorns. We've done between our team, we've done three unicorns. We love technology. We use Silicon Valley as a port to the rest of the world because half the money is still located there. And
Right.
currently, I'm in Florida, but normally I'm in Silicon Valley. I'm close to my house. Not as nice as your beach, so I like your beach better, Khalid. It's not lovely, but I'm right next to the beach here, so it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gary, Telly, and Khalid. I mean, welcome to VCTV. And today we've got another topic and many new insights coming from you all, I am sure. So let's start with the big question. I'm going to ask a big question, like a little heavy, then slowly go narrow down to simpler questions while we finish the show. So I'd like to ask Telly first, because we just had a discussion before we went live. How are the organizations leveraging big data to transform their processes and the entire industry? And what kind of business models are you seeing emerging out of? You can break it into parts if you would like to do that.
Wow.
Thank
On the spot. Okay. I would say, and looking at some specific industries, um, there, in the context of, let me start with investing, right? In the
Yeah,
context of investing, I would say one of the big challenges a lot of the institutional investors experience with their funds is the fact that they normally gather data from very static places, like, when companies that are public, you have public databases you can access. But more and more, there are a lot of unstructured data that actually needs to be analyzed that can bring in a lot of insights into it. So what we're seeing is within the investment space, there is um, significant investment being done in digital transformation where they can start leveraging big data, applying AI and machine learning to kind of identify these real time data points that actually provide rather significant information and give different managers more insight to kind of recognize certain patterns so that they can facilitate strategies. Also within that space, if you're looking at the perspective of trading, what we're seeing as new models coming up, obviously on the investment side, you have robo advisory, but the robo advisory needs to leverage data
yeah,
points to be
right.
able to execute these trades and transactions. And then, of course, what we're seeing, and also we're seeing that multiplied in the DeFi space, is where now you have arbitrage trading bots that can now take data from all these different exchanges, actually serve a very useful function, I would say, in terms of stabilizing liquidity. Because when you're dealing in the capital market for market making, one of the big challenges you would have is really ensuring that liquidity is stable. So it does stabilize liquidity. So that's really an interesting space, and a lot of investment is starting to go into things like robo advisory solutions, trading bots, and so on. So these are some examples, at least within that particular industry. If we're looking at new models of leveraging data, now moving away from finance to something like agriculture, for instance, near and dear to my heart, you know, food
Yeah,
security is very, very important. And here we could see using big data from getting a lot of data points, from even the farmers when you're planting, the time you plant, right down to
yeah,
soil variability. So you capture climate variability, soil variability, and also other data sets that obviously the commercial farmer is actually putting in. And with that, you can actually create some really innovative products. For example, like insurance. So parametric, or otherwise called index insurance products, are now produced because you have data. And obviously these insurance products are very easy to kind of construct once you have a trigger. So since you have all that data being captured, you can now use very specific, if there's an event like a hurricane, or a volcano eruption, and that is embedded into a contract to say once this event occurs, you're automatically going to get 10 million, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
quick to the draw. And then when you layer that with, adding blockchain and digital assets, oh my God, it's like a streamlined process, right?
Yeah.
So definitely, big data has a big role to play in the area of even scaling up climate finance and the climate ecosystem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll leave those two data points there, but I'm sure my colleagues have other areas they want to
Sure.
examples and models they want to explain.
Talking about hurricane, I think you just mentioned you had a hurricane this morning. Is that correct?
No, 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 no. What I have this morning has to do with, again, climate. All of us are, most countries are highly dependent on fossil fuel production for energy. So
Ah,
unfortunately, our national grid is heavily dependent on energy, on these fossil fuels for energy because they use traditional generation. And so they have one generator down, another one they're repairing. And
right.
so the load on the
Ah,
grid
got it.
is not enough. So they have to kind of distribute. This is
Right.
the issue we're having with, again, centralized systems.
Hmm.
So for grid stability, one of the things they need to be doing is in implementing microgrids. And
Right.
now when we get into microgrids and blockchain, that's another show.
That's another show for sure. Yeah. But good that you clarified. Gary, over to you with the same question. How are organizations leveraging big data? Organizations can be enterprises, startups to transform their processes. And what are the emerging business models we see?
Well, I mean, Sunny, let's look at it. The amount of data that is in the world today is estimated at 33 zettabytes. I mean, I talk about it all the time. And if you stack CDs one top another, that's 23 times back and forth to the moon. That number increases 62%, 61 to 62% every year. So we are inundated. In fact, it was Alvin Toffler coined the term infobesity. So these, look at our own personal lives.
Yeah.
Each person has about 300,000 items within their own personal cloud. The entire World Wide Web in 1996 was 257,000 websites. So each one of us within our own personal cloud has 300,000 items. But the challenge is that number doubles every year. In 5 years, you'll have 10 million items within your personal cloud. In your own personal world, how many times have you said, I know that file exists, but I can't find it? Why? I've either forgotten a location or forgotten the keywords and I can't find it. So think about all the repositories. So Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, Yahoo, etc. All the email addresses. It could be 20 to 25 different repositories, Telegram, Viber. So we are inundated. Companies are inundated with data. The situation is using the right kind of tools, right kind of real artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to get the job done. To analyze, not only analyze what we have, but to use semi-supervised and unsupervised artificial intelligence to help us make more well-informed decisions. And that's happening today. A couple of weeks ago, I just talked to a group of the largest pharmaceutical companies in Europe, and they're using drug discovery. They're using AI for drug discovery. No longer do you need to do bench time. They're using that data to be able to model and make incredible decisions. Think about all the data the banks have, right? Think about the challenges with the digital transformation that the banks have today. The
Yeah.
banks can't, because of COVID, it's very difficult to even go in a bank, right? To be able to get the job done. So they need to be able to provide solutions to be able to help you make decisions quickly, instantaneously, right? Why does a loan take 3 to 5 days in some locations or a week, right? It should happen instantly. And that's happening today. The other thing is, how can they go down through and identify what kind of customers and what kind of products to be able to give them on a moment's notice, and also to change it, right? So if your credit score changes, to be able to adjust the kind of products that can come out to you. But this is permeating throughout our lives. It's funny. It's really interesting for me personally. The brother of the founder of Google happens to be a contact of mine, and had dinner with him several times. And In Silicon Valley, you can see people like that. I go to Starbucks in the morning, I see Tim Cook, and he's having his latte. Literally, I mean, you can talk to people. I see Mark Zuckerberg in the Chinese restaurant and talk to him. So the challenge that we have is that all this data around us, the companies that are going to win are the companies that are going to make well-informed decisions. Now, the challenge is because there's so much data, there's issues with security, right? So companies now have enhanced security, and you talk about the grid. The grid is one of the issues in terms of cybersecurity. Imagine if the hackers start getting into the grid,
Yeah.
right? And then we say, well, blockchain's going to help. Well, I just wrote an article on quantum computing and blockchain a couple of weeks ago. And when quantum computing comes into play, everything's going to change. So we need to look at, one is, how can we use the data that's available today to make decisions? How can companies help hyper personalize to make decisions directly for you? What I was saying is, I mean, think about it. People talk about today about all the data around us. Well, we use Google, right? Do you
Right.
think it's free? I mean, people talk about privacy and security, about protecting their personal data, and then they're on Facebook. Isn't it telling? It's crazy, isn't it? And then we use LinkedIn and we think it's free. It's kooky, you know? And then it's just unbelievable. And then you have all these websites, we're lazy, and I'm included. And so what happens, it says log in with Google or Facebook or whatever, I do it. You know what? It just, there's more data they got on you then. And we wonder why we get, so the good news is that we are in this, we're in this digitally transformed world. The beauty is, 10 months ago or so, when we started on this pandemic, we were just on the cusp of doing digital transformation. McKinsey said 92% of the companies about a year ago were going to go through this digital transformation over the next 10 years. Well, we've had to do it very, very quickly. The good news is the difference between 1918 and the Spanish flu today is that we've been able to move through this. And here we are on VCTV and Zoom. Who would have thought 6 years ago? I remember when I was one of the early Zoom clients, and I would send out links to my friends and say, oh, I don't want to do this. I have Skype. And I'm like, but Zoom's really good. And I got it from the investor in Zoom, right? He said, oh, you should meet Eric. So anyhow, I did it. Now the situation is like 400 million active users every day. So anyhow, we're inundated with data. It's not only identifying the data, but being able to make decisions based on the data and then moving to unsupervised AI that'll help us, to be our literal assistant, intelligent assistant to help us move forward, because we cannot. The human brain processes 60,000 complex transactions per day. Based on the amount of data coming at us every single day, we can't process what's out there. It's just, we're inundated. We're in a state, as Toffler said, of infobesity. And now the situation course corrects. So blockchain is really important because of data integrity and security, and to be able to help us today anyhow. It won't be in another, 10 years when we go down through in quantum computing. Everything's going to be turned upside down. But yeah, it's an exciting time. Data is the fuel, right? AI is the electricity, and 5G is a turbocharger. 5G now 6G is a turbocharger.
I really like that, Gary. Thank you so much, Gary, for those insights. Next I would like to take those insights from Khalid. So Khalid, over to you. So what are organizations or the startups, how are they leveraging big data? You can touch base on education to be very specific if you wish to as well. Thank you.
Yeah, because what Gary was and Tally was also telling about the big data analytics, and also huge data is coming all over the world and all over the sections of our life, right? So, but we have to take this challenge by developing the generations, right? So that's why it is the interest. It is about the teaching or the training to bring new actually brains. So who will actually carry on with these new technology and the other things, right? So we need more people, more technical people, and so to train them, we have to focus on not only the technology, also content. How these contents, how these big things should be formalized, how these things should be actually designed or deliver to make it deliverables to them, to make them easy to understand. And we don't know how long this pandemic situation is to be going on, right? So so we have to whatever it is, whether we go to our normal life or not, we have to think that since these facilities of internet and the technological facilities is being evolving, so we have to make new models and new things, so that we can by staying home, so that we can actually get this to our new generation, and also to our the corporate levels also, right? So we are also facing lots of trouble because of when to formulate how to actually train the teachers, training the trainers. This was also challenging for us at the beginning. Now we have developed some platform, for example, like Moodle and other things. So we are in our university, we have developed blended learning centers, so that the students and teachers can come in one center, and they can take their facilities and other things, and we are now selling also these things to other corporate companies, I mean the education institutions who like to take these facilities, who like universities and schools and other institutions, even corporations, for the to train the to train the the employees also, a short training and long-term training. That this is also, so we are now actually getting new opportunities that are now coming open in our in future, right? So these are the area when there is a problem. Actually, this is the chance. These are the chances to build our things, build our the models, and take this opportunity to the people. So we are actually getting more work day by day. We are getting more, the activities,
Yeah.
the requests are coming, right? These are the things I think, and it is good in a sense that it is not actually trouble. It's actually good. Actually, we are now having more important things to do for our current and the new generations also.
Yeah. Thank you, Khalid. Really, absolutely agree with the insights that you've just shared. And this is the right time. I mean,
Yeah,
startups and founders, please don't think this is not the right time. This is the right time, as Khalid
right.
rightly said. This is the right time to build something. This is the right time to prove something. This is the right time to grow and scale and show your potential to the entire world. Thank you so much, Khalid. So we've done it the first round. As I said, I'll go a little easy. So next question, let's cover storage. I would like to ask Telly, what kind of new types of decentralized storages you see, and what kind of investments are getting done in that space?
Well, first of all, from storage, I kind of look at storage holistically, both centralized and decentralized. From a centralized perspective, um, I think what Gary said was really insightful. We were just at the beginning of digital transformation when, the pandemic hit, and then we had to
So,
accelerate. So for most part, a lot of companies still haven't really digitized, and they struggle, because of all their manual processes. So one of the startups I really kind of really like is, I think it's called Kumolo, with a Q, Kumolo. And their storage is interesting because they can now transfer file data and streamline it like almost automatically. And that is and they have scalable storage. So that's something that, it's scalable, it's simple and easy for companies, even smaller companies, to adopt. So I'm very familiar with, big data centers, AWS, Microsoft. I'm even a Microsoft partner with Azure. It's not necessarily as user friendly when it comes to reaching a lot of the companies. So they address it in a very unique way, where they have a universal data layer for storage. And they've been really doing well in terms of scaling up. I think they even raised 125 million this year as
wow.
part of the Series B. Yeah. So that's an interesting one to watch, from a centralized perspective.
Right.
On a decentralized perspective, I think um, this comes to a topic of privacy, data, and people. It's connecting to people because it's decentralized. And I think what decentralization has done is empowered people to kind of manage their data.
Right.
So I mean, you've got all the different laws happening, GDPR in Europe, and just because you're in India, Pakistan, wherever, once you have clients, because we're in this global space, once you have clients anywhere in Europe, you have to be GDPR compliant, and it also is says a lot in terms of best practice. So I think decentralization supports GDPR perspectives, and decentralization really allows you to manage your data. So then the companies that you find are that have created, wallets, you could say wallets around identity and portable identity, unified identity. I remember back in 2018, 2019, most of the healthcare startups that kind of came about really focused on identity, to be honest, within the
Right.
healthcare space, because it starts from that. Once you have identifiers or databases, there are a lot of data points that an individual has. So now layering on top of that are now models that allow you to monetize your data. So you're seeing a number of different companies that are coming out that offer solutions for monetization of data from different perspectives.
Mm.
On the one hand, it's you being able to share your data to get a particular service. On the other hand, they're probably using the data layer like a grid, like a network, and facilitating location-based data support. So as you walk around the place and you hit on those location data beacons, right?
Yeah.
Um, for sharing ads, or if you're looking at it from an advertising space, you can earn. So I mean, like I said the other day on our call,
Yeah.
I Netflix, I like to watch Netflix, but how come I'm not being
We do as
compensated?
well. We all do.
Exactly. So I mean, the data points for me watching, you should be able to then track my behavior,
Right. Right.
and my behavior, the watching, the loyalty, obviously, motivate me and give me something. So you now have people developing models that allow for rewards, in this new space, what you call the digital economy solution. And they're growing. They're still far and far between. You even have startups that give you rewards because of your exercise data. So if I'm working out and I hit a goal, a milestone, they capture those data points and they're able to reward you. So there's so many flexibilities with that. But the personal data market, while it's growing, it hasn't really hit that peak in terms of it being, very lucrative. It only does it if you are perhaps if that model is perhaps incorporated into an ecosystem, then you look
Right.
at the whole, network effects holistically to support that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you,
Okay.
Telly, for covering so many variety of aspects in the space of storage. I'd like to quickly move to Gary. Gary, as per you, what kind of investments have been done in the storage space, and what kind of startups have got funded this year in the
Well, I mean,
space?
if you look at the landscape is changing rapidly. Why? Because of the high cost of cloud storage, right? It was everybody said that it was going to be we're moving to the cloud, moving to the cloud, moving to the cloud, and then all of a sudden they realized that the costs are sometimes prohibitive. So what's happening now? There's really a changing landscape. This whole idea of growing public cloud costs, and then the difficulties trying to manage those costs have led many enterprises back towards a more hybrid storage model. So if we look at it today, I mean, it's, most people say, oh, let's go to the cloud, let's go to the cloud. But in reality, companies are starting to look at it a different way, and they're actually doing some things on premise. Now, how has that changed? So if you look at the types of storage, the different types of storage, the trend that we're looking towards is more like flash arrays, SSDs. And um, the conversion of the typical storage capabilities back over to SSD, and it appears to be the most, effective. So what we have is we've got an interesting model. Then, as I said, we've got an incredible amount of data, right? If the data is growing at 62% per year, you don't want to have a lot of working parts. I mean, again, I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania, keeping it simple. And for me, if you got a lot of working parts, you got more problems. I remember when I was a kid growing up, my dad said, be careful of those kind of cars. The more gadgets you have on them, the more problems you're going to have. And I mean, he's my dad was the ultimate. We lived in a farm community on the side of a mountain, and it's keep it simple. You know what I mean? Keep it simple,
Yeah.
Gary. So, unfortunately, we didn't even have air conditioning because it was too simple back in those days. Why do you need air conditioning? Open up your windows. But again, we were in Pennsylvania. But so then the other thing is, if we looked at areas like software defined storage, and this is really a trend that isn't going to disappear in any time from my standpoint in the near term. So I think that thing could be a big market. I know Gartner said that market could be up to, I don't know, $7-8 billion this year, right?
Wow.
So um, the and then going back to challenge, and I talk about this a lot, is that what about the security? The concern when you got all this data, the big challenge, and I can tell you directly because I've had my identity stolen, is that I'm really concerned of where my data is because I don't want to have it happen again. It was a pain in the rear end for 2 years trying to get things back together. So how do we secure that? And then again, you look at the overall spend and this type of security. I mean, this is going up, 10, 11% per year. So, and then cloud security, because of the challenges, is 40 over 40% in the next 5 years. So we understand the challenge, but we need to move faster with it. And quantum computing is the X factor, because when
Right.
that comes in, everything is fair game. Let me tell you, cybersecurity may not even be a term at that point in time
Mm.
Wow.
because quantum computers can figure things out way too. I mean, people don't get, just Google estimate. I read one article, it's 100 million times faster than a conventional computer. So you can imagine being able to figure out those permutations and
Yeah.
combinations that quickly. Nothing's
Mhm.
secure, right? So,
Yeah.
and then some of the current trends, data analytics, of course, AI, machine learning, blockchain, robotics, and then IoT. I mean,
Right.
think about it. I just did a show with the top person at Intel, Samir Sharma, on Internet of Things. I mean, everything. Look at
Mhm.
cities, all the buildings that'll be there, the lights. He was telling me a very interesting scenario. Traffic
Mhm.
lights around the world average only being updated every 8 years. Now, do you think traffic patterns are the same in 1 year? Right. So we have traffic lights set up with their timing, for an 8 year period of time. Well, why aren't they adjusted on a real time basis? If there's an accident that takes place, you don't need a police officer. You need to adjust the lights. So these are just simple things. What about cost efficiencies? So, and how much, talk about the carbon footprint. If we have those kind of adjustments done on a real time basis, how much less fuel do we burn? Because we're not sitting at a light when we shouldn't be. So,
Yeah.
uh, anyhow, data, it's coming
Data.
at us. The key is not only storing it, but what kind of decisions can be made, and how does the AI help us to be able to make not smart but intelligent, informed decisions and make them in an unsupervised way on their own at some point.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Gary, for sharing such a wide range of insights with our audience. Thank you so much. And it's always great to hear your insights personally. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Khalid, you wanted to share something. You just,
No, I was just listening Gary, and yeah, properly he put all the things together, uh, and new things. I was talking about IoT a bit earlier. So in our country, lots of in rural areas we have agricultural farms, and they are now coming. They need the IoT based support now a lot, because from the cities we like to control them, right? And also not even the lights or the cameras only. even if each no, the livestock, each living things, they are actually sending data to us, right? Their movements, the cows, I mean I mean the animals, they're actually sending us data from their position, their behavior, and everything. So we are now actually coming and in a situation that lots of work we need to do together. So, and we have to organize all these things together to do the things simply. I like the Gary's father's insight to make it simple, but we have to do processes huge first to make the things simple for others, for everybody. So,
Right.
so that we can handle it simply, but under the simple, the world and things. So we have some people, some tech guys, or the advanced people, they should make the life easier for others actually, so that the students can get the teachers easily, so the students can get the knowledge easily. And
Right.
yeah, these are the things I like to be more focused on. And the business also. And and when we manage people, when we manage farms, when we manage everything, this is actually the business. You
Right.
don't have to find business anywhere else. These are actually living together is business, I think. No. So thus we actually transfer our requirement and our of course the money and everything. So and it makes the total scenario different, and also we can be happy all together, everybody, every section, right? So you were then talking about the site, the scenario behind me. It was that you taken from, yeah, these are the longest beach of our country, the we say that,
Ah.
yeah, the Cox's Bazar. So the longest and
Next time, Khalid, I
I,
come in Bangladesh, I'll visit that beach. I haven't been to
yeah,
Bangladesh.
Cox's Bazar. Yeah, yeah. And I also invite Guy to come whenever, if you come to Bangladesh, then it will be very nice pleasure for you. Another thing is, um, I am
Lovely,
also
Gabby. We
getting.
can go onto this panel and announce our visit to Bangladesh.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 of course. You're most welcome, and
Right.
be my guest in Bangladesh. So if you come, another thing is, I was getting phone call even from that area. So we are now developing. I don't know why I have got this thing. Actually, the data. Maybe I visited last year about in October. In November, I took my family. There was a family visit, but now I am getting phone calls from their hotels. So if you like to invest in our hotels, we are actually expanding our new features. So please don't hesitate to come to me. Don't hesitate to contact me. Okay, you don't have to come. Our people will go to you, and like that. So I have got this telephone just the couple of days ago. So
Yeah.
since it has been 1 year, so now the yearly memories are shown in the Facebooks and everything, and they're also collecting information there. These are the
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So the new initiative, new niches are now actually created, and investment also.
Right.
Companies also coming. Yeah.
Thank you, Khalid, for that. I'm just we just 15 more minutes to go to wrap up. So, quick question, because this is an investment panel and we are also covering big data. Tell you quickly, how can data be used to enhance investing and investment decisions?
I think I had answered that earlier on, how
Okay.
data is used for investment decision, but maybe I would now elaborate a little bit more in terms of maybe which areas are really interesting, especially now for investors to kind of look at
Sure.
for big data. So we're just talking about IoT and smart cities. I 100% agree with Gary. That is really big, especially now. We have to kind of look at how we can redesign, rebuild. Especially now, climate is back on the table. From the U.S. side, it seems. So there is going to be a big thrust in allocating capital in the area of climate, and one of the biggest area of allocation would be infrastructure, um, and construction. What's interesting for me is that construction itself has not necessarily adopted technology in a way. So that's actually a big opportunity as we're getting more urbanized. So I think data, applying data, and not just data, it's data, AI, machine learning, and robotics combined is actually going to help transform a lot of the inefficiencies you see in the construction industry. Now, I say that with caution because normally a lot of these governments, especially, um, given this scenario and the economic crisis, they normally would use construction as a way of stimulating the economy with jobs. So we're not necessarily saying jobs are going to go, but definitely there are many opportunities within the built environment in order to enhance that, especially now. Like for instance, because I live in a very vulnerable area. It's so beautiful, but
Yes.
we're prone to hurricanes and
Right.
the climate. We haven't really given or our emissions are not as high to cause the impacts, but the rest of the world has caused it that we are actually the ones feeling it. So for us, our our boost for infrastructure and boosting up our critical infrastructure costs are actually going to be 10 or 100 times because we now have to not just build to adapt, we have to build for resilience as well. So it means shoring up the current infrastructure, shoring up, I mean, live when you're building your house, it has to be hurricane proof. And given the last couple of hurricanes, you have to like surpass the standards by far. You need data and
Yeah,
certain data points to allow you to scale them.
absolutely.
And then also, as applied to the techniques for construction, you also need to capture certain data points that allow you to kind of evolve these things. So, yeah, 3D printing comes in line with robotics, but
Mm.
combined with the data can actually do that. So I think that's a really niche opportunity for investors to look at
Right.
um, in that space. That's
Great
one
points. Great points. Especially construction space
construction,
about
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for that. Quickly move to Gary. Gary, so same question
The
to you.
electricity too.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Sonny. Can you repeat
So
it?
yeah, how data, because we're talking about data today and we are on an investment panel. So how data can be used to enhance investing and investment decisions? And because Kelly touched base on various sectors like construction tech, robotics, and so the same question to you.
So, I mean, how can data, so, I mean, think about it. It's all about, forecasting what the patterns are going to be like. It's forecasting what kind of decisions. Imagine, I mean, there are tools out now that can really look at the web to understand what kind of activities happen on the web. And I know actually one of my partners has a AI tool that he used for his own personal investing, and his portfolio is up 80%, even with some of the downtimes. So, I mean, it's a future. You look at, I mean, let's keep it simple, right? Just purely simple. We did a long range weather forecasting company. I was on a team of a company that was started in the 90s, but used a model of weather as a it's not non-linear reoccurring patterns over
Mm.
time. So we did a historical analysis. Well, think about it. If you can forecast the weather in the Caribbean during a period of time, and there's a high probability there's going to be, 7 hurricanes during the season,
Yeah.
like here in Florida. What does that do in terms of construction materials, right? Like keeping it simple.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember this, the guy that was working with us on the long range weather forecasting company, his name is Irving Crick. This guy's extremely famous, sometimes not heard of, but famous in the community. Why? Because he did Operation Argument and Invasion of Normandy. I met him when he was close to 90 years old, mid 80s. Anyhow, so how much impact does weather have in your impact in your business? Think about it. If I'm a retailer, right? So my investments, if I'm a retailer, how many more umbrellas? Well, that's pretty simple, right? If it's raining, I buy umbrellas. But the funny part is, if you do merchandise planning, what other kind of things do I buy? Hot chocolate, right? Socks, blankets, and then things that are like, because you're nervous, maybe chewing gum. There's all kind of relationships, and we did that. We worked with Walmart, we work with Target. some of the largest retailers in the world, Tesco. And imagine being able to forecast what kind of demand there's going to be for oil because it's going to be a lot colder in a particular area, or gas in a particular area. So it has a huge impact on investing. So we need to always forecast where things are going to be and what the supply and demand. And from my perspective, we're in the infancy of this happening. The key is when it starts happening in an unsupervised way, where I don't even have to look at my stocks anymore. But that's scary because it puts everybody in the same playing field, right? It's not like as an individual, you're going to be able to go out and say, oh, I'm going to beat this because I'm going to buy Tesla. Everybody's going to be buying Tesla. So what happens then? It's like, people don't get it, right? There's something about humanity that makes it interesting, but everybody wins at the gambling. There's a reason you're not allowed to count coins in a casino, because you change the probability that you're going to win. Well, if everybody's going to win in stocks, if everybody's going to win, the game changes. So, and it's going to happen, right? It's going to be interesting, within your lifetime, Sunny and Telly and Khalid, you're going to see things that are incredible, right? It's going to be the democratization of opportunity. And then what happens next? How can we all make money? Are we like robots? We all make the same amount of money. AI takes care of everything. We have self-driving cars that take us once in a while. We don't have to do anything. We put on our VR, AR, XR. We travel around the world. I go down to Telly's Caribbean, Khalid's beach in Bangladesh, in Singapore to have lunch with Sunny. I mean, we're not going to have to do anything. We're going to have virtual. We're going to be in the matrix.
Yes, of course.
We're going to chop all around.
Exactly. So data, it's amazing what's going to happen when we start making use of that data and how our lives change. Think about it now, even with the pandemic today. So students that are in Boston, Massachusetts, or Bangla, Dhaka, or in St. Kitts, imagine being able to travel on a safari real time, having your goggles on to be able to see what it's really like to see elephants and lions and tigers in different situations, where I'm in India or in Africa. And what's a volcano look like when it's exploding? Well, how is it like to fly in an airplane? These real experience, imagine how enriched these immersive experiences are happening today. And it's all about the data. So we can travel anywhere. It doesn't matter where we are. We can travel anywhere at any time using the data to be able to enhance our lives. But it is going to change a lot of things. We're not going to be driving like we do today because the insurance companies aren't going to want the liability.
Yeah. That's
They're going to have self-driving cars say, okay, Sonny, your appointment to go to the dentist is at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. We'll be over to pick you up. Get ready. And they'll set your alarm clock for you. You just have to walk outside. Okay, Sonny, we've reconfigured the car. Get in. And you go in there. Then the dentist has, a cobot where they've got half of it is done by AI and a robot. The other part is a dentist. The dentist says, great to see you today, Sonny. And then starts, drilling, and it's all painless. It's going to be amazing, actually.
Good.
Yes,
I already feel that's going to happen soon. It's amazing. Absolutely, Gary. So,
one thing happened in our country within this pandemic situation. A public education exam, that is we called it SSC, secondary HSC, higher secondary school certificate examination. We couldn't arrange it because of the pandemic situation, but government had to go for auto pass and auto certification. But now we actually under my supervision, I ran a project to take all the data from the schools for every student, so that they can track from the at the last of their school years, so that you don't have to take any exam. So but by looking at his graph, his chart, you can easily identify this student is good in mathematics, this student is good in physics. So you can easily track, give them certificate. Yes, he can go to for higher education for this particular area or so. So now it has been taken and for some by some government organization, some consultants or government consultants. But now they are actually now giving it more value. Yes, this is more valuable now. We understand it when the situation is now in a really the perfect situation for that.
Sure.
So yeah, so in this way, now I think the data and the data is has become more valuable, and we are now using it really actually. And yeah, in near future, what the Gary is looking at
Yeah.
is giving us the site like we're going heading to a matrix or something like that. So okay, let's see what happens, and we like to take this challenge, we like
Thank
to
you, Khalid.
get into
Thank you
more.
so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much. Telly, closing remarks for the show.
Thank you. So I think from the perspective, we're talking big data, we're talking about storage, analytics. I think the key takeaway would be the opportunities. I mean, data is the new oil.
Yeah.
As Gary would say, it is the lifeblood of
Yeah.
where we are in the fourth revolution. So, welcome to the fourth revolution. If you are not embracing the fact that there are opportunities in investing in big data, whether it is from the perspective of an investor investing in the space or the perspective of actually a startup wanting to get in the space, you can't escape it. Even when we add in a layer of what's going on in blockchain, decentralized ledger technologies, at the end of the day, the tokens, the currencies that are created, the assets, digital assets, it's all about data.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say there are many, many opportunities, and there are also opportunities that combine um, a number of different technologies together that actually helps you make better decision making with that data. We've already spoken about that. I think what's interesting is where the space that needs extra support is the fact that fueling all this data, making sense of this data and AI models that allow you to capture and read the data, you actually do need people.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you do
Yes,
need
yes.
people, and you do need people trained at a really high level. And so I think therein lies the opportunity. How do we generate a pipeline of new engineers, so to speak, that can help develop and design these new solutions? And how, as managers, do we understand how to manage the whole infrastructure that comes around um,
and
supporting
and I like
Thank
to
solutions?
thank also the Sony and the VCTV and the LATOKEN TV also, because they are actually bringing us together. No, we can now share that, yeah, what is required in US, what is required in Tally's area, and also in Singapore. So what
thank
kind
you.
of yeah, and that's very good. I like to congratulate and thank you again for inviting us, for having us here, and also yeah, very good. And we know that now who is coming to
Yeah.
Bangladesh in next few months or so.
Yeah.
So we're going to see
So
this
thank you
gang
very
of.
much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Khaled, for the closing remarks. Gary, quickly about the closing remarks
Yeah,
for
I
the show.
mean, the situation is this is it's great to see you every day, Sonny, and this is a great forum to be able to express ideas and to share for startups to get information. I'm getting inundated with the amount of startups that contact me on a daily basis. Actually,
Right.
I'm working from 4 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night
Yeah.
Oh,
these days, so we're really really busy. I love it. So. VCTV is great. Enjoy the
yeah.
experience. Sonny, you're a great host. It's
Thank
great to
you.
see Kelly and Khalid today, and look forward to my Bangladesh. It's a my show is, by the way, a combination. It's like The Apprentice meets Shark Tank, so it'll
Okay.
be interesting. And I'll be on Bangladeshi TV on the 3rd,
Mm.
and Sonny, you'll be there too, I believe, right?
Yay, I'm going to be there too.
Anyhow,
Most welcome.
yeah. So, 'cause startups, we curate companies. Our thing is we've done three. I've done two personally. Unicorns. We curate companies from around the world and help them go global. Looking for AI companies. We're investors. We're curators. We're operational folks. So come on in. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach me, LinkedIn, Gary Fowler. You can reach Twitter. Email me, Gary@GSDVS. I'd love to hear from you. Now's the time. Yes, AI is the electricity. As Telly said, data is the fuel, and 5.6G is a turbocharger. Let's go get them.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that closing remarks, Gary. So, come to the end of the show. Startups and founders who are looking to reach out to these fantastic people, great minds, you can always do that by going to our website. You can also go to YouTube. Those of you who are watching YouTube, so there are links underneath where you can click and get connected with Gary, Kelly, and Khaled. And investors and speakers who are willing to connect, you can reach out to them individually, directly on LinkedIn or through our website. Thank you so much. This has been really, really engaging and fun discussions today. And thank you so much for your time and commitment, Gary, Telly, and Khaled, all of you, to come back on the show again and again and share your knowledge and insights to the audience. That actually makes me feel really great and empowered. Thank you so much and have a great day. Have a great evening. Stay safe, stay connected. And I'm going to look forward to having another panel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.